This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 65 of the Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we discuss the dangers of quick fixes with horse care and training. Breed of the show is the Spider Monkey. Critter Nutrition focuses on Manuka honey for wounds. And in Coffee Clutch, we share favorite animal nursery rhymes, poems, and songs, and what they meant to us. Join us. Well, it's a hot one out there, Patty P.
Oh, my. Well, you know, I said about 2 days ago I had been in training for this weather for the last 5 years.
In Texas,
but then
yes.
today happened. And today was a little tough. I mean, I haven't had a day like this, honestly, in 4 years. And I think, you know, it definitely is, it's humid. It's a little different. I kept trying to think to myself why. And what I realized is that the one wonderful thing I learned about being in Texas, all over Texas, is that they know how to really open up a barn for this type of weather. And obviously it's a little hotter here than it's, you know, normally is. But so I have been, you know, trying to invent different ways to stay cool. And one of the things that I realized that I was able to do in Texas is that at least midday I could go in to our lounge area and just get out of the heat, even if it was for literally 5 minutes in air conditioning, because most of the barns there, not all, have air conditioning in some place or another. So that's something I'm going to change, because there's a very large tack room / office where we are right now, but it's very open and airy and actually quite warm in the winter. But I'm going to put an air conditioner in there. But I've also I have so many fans, so I've put a bunch of them in the aisleway. Just kind of moving the air through the aisleway. And that definitely helps. But most of the indoors here are indoors, Tigger. You know, like in Houston, they're covered arenas. There's
like Florida.
Yes, exactly. Again, which really does not help in the winter.
And the ceilings are higher. You know, the ceilings are higher, so the heat rises. And the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, we just don't build barns for the hot weather.
No.
And
even though it gets hot, you know.
Yeah, but it doesn't. This is an unusual hot. I mean, the heat index is over 100 here, and that's not that common.
Yeah.
And
this
is short-lived. You know.
Well, and the other thing is too is at night, you know, you can already start to feel better, and you know, in Houston, in you know the middle of July and August, it you know, this time of day is some of the hottest, just because even though the sun's going down, it's still hot. At least here it you know, cools off a little bit. Like you said, I mean, I looked at next week. It's not nearly as bad, you know,
this weekend it goes back down to the 80s. So,
which yay, that's what we want.
God, I'll be putting on my fleece.
Yeah, I'd like a picture of that.
So Jennifer,
what?
I want to bring you in.
Here I am.
You have something exciting to share.
We do. We have been taking all of our listeners' suggestions and all the feedback that we get from the Healthy Critters Radio Facebook page, and we're all the time trying to think of great, new, interesting things to do on Healthy Critters Radio, because that's what keeps it fun for us, and that's what keeps it fun for y'all. And one of today's segments has a clue to an upcoming and very exciting new segment we're going to start doing. And your job today is to try to figure out which segment that is. And what I want you to do is go to Healthy Critters Radio Facebook page and post on there what you think, which of our segments today you think it is that is going to play into our new segment. And we're going to give you a little bit more information on the next show that comes out in 2 weeks. And I'm so excited for it.
I
can
too.
barely sit still.
I can't wait to hear what it is. I just can't wait.
Maybe we should ask Hedwig to participate.
That would be interesting.
No, that would
be. Yes.
Ringside seats for that. I'm just saying.
Yeah. We'll think about that. We'll put some thought into it.
Yep.
Yeah. We don't want to be hasty.
Yep. Perfect.
and speaking of hasty, that leads us to our first roundtable discussion of the day.
Oh, good.
Let's get going. And we thought we'd start off today's show with a roundtable discussion of quick fixes. And we wanted to talk about this because I was talking to my friend, Dr. Tom Schell of Curost, a couple of days ago. And he was talking to me about the difficulty and the challenges with horse owners and pet owners when our impatience is that we want to fix something really quickly with our dog or horse or
chicken.
Guinea pig or chicken. And I thought it would be a very good topic to discuss, since both Jennifer and Patty, have the training side of it, and I'm on the, nutrition and care side of it. So that's what we want to talk about, and maybe how we can help or provide some reminders of ways to kind of reduce our human impatience. So yeah. I'm going to start with from the feeding care and this is something that I've experienced myself. So I'm not saying that I'm never impatient, but the horses and the dogs have really taught me about allowing and waiting time for the medicine, the supplement, the food change, whatever it is that you're working to correct, balance, improve. There is no substitute for time.
Agreed.
And
it's
nature is on her own time schedule.
Yeah. Because, I think I think the biggest thing always is just that patience, but we always want to see, especially if you're feeding a change or, you always wanted to, well, Lord knows if we want to gain weight, you just look at the piece of cake and it happens. Why doesn't it happen with our dogs?
Yeah,
or our horses,
instant.
Right? Yeah. And I think that, the older that we get, obviously the more we're supposed to understand that, but I know that it, I think that's such a good point, Trigger, because I was actually just thinking of that today when I was riding this one horse that it's one of the girls that works for me, and it's a lovely horse, and we're making some food changes with her and also some training changes, but she's had a lot of changes. She came from Holland and ended up here, and it's different here. People sound differently. There's different smells. There's different feeds. There's different vaccinations. There's different slides. Everything is different, and it just takes time for things to adjust. I think that patience is probably the number one key in any of these things, whether it's training or feeding. What do you think, Jennifer?
Patience, yes. And you hit on something very interesting there too, is there are so many things that are different. And it's not just two things. There are 35 things that are different. And I think the most common one that I see is there's an issue going on and somebody wants to fix it, and they want to fix it in a hurry. So instead of taking a logical, programmed look at it, they do 15 things at once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They
change, never know which one ends up.
They never know. They change their food. They put them on a supplement. They get some joints vaccinated. They call 3 or 4 different physio people. They change trainers, and they do this all within 1 month. Well, the horse gets better with whatever that problem was that they started with, but now the horse has 4 different problems because they did so many things. All they did was add to the stresses of too many changes.
Yeah.
My horse is stressed out because there's change in his lives. Let's make more.
Yeah. And I really do think it comes from that caretaker place. We want the horse to feel better, the dog to feel better.
Yeah.
And we get a little panicky, and there's a certain amount of judgment.
I was just going to say that. Peer pressure, you're right. Oh, why haven't you fixed that already? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and that's so true, because I think that's such a good point, Tigger, because I think that a lot of people, especially like I'm going to say, let's just say with horses, because, this time of year, people, at least on the East Coast are, they're now out and about and they're showing and they're doing stuff. And, let's say somebody had a horse last fall and they're trying to do all sorts of things to get the horse to work. Well, that's the other part where the patience comes in, because maybe you are taking your time and only doing one change at a time. Well, it doesn't mean the first one's going to work. You got to give it time. You've got to give it time to figure out if that's the right combination of things. It can be so hard, especially when you're doing a strength,
or getting, you've got shows coming up and you've paid your entry fee and something, isn't quite right. And then you get the vet out and then, and you want to have it fixed because you want to get to the show. And there's
right.
nothing wrong with that, except that when we let that drive supersede if we sat back and said, okay, the show doesn't matter, so what? I just want him he or she to feel better, be better, sounder, more reliable in the ring, and I think we get caught up. And I think that's one of the difficulties with competitions, is that we can get so caught up in wanting to do them and participate that we then are trying to take shortcuts or do, as Jennifer pointed out, 50 million things at once. And I am as guilty of this as anybody.
Yeah.
So, since this generally, and it not always, frequently, the problem comes from that place in our psyches where we want our creature that we love so very much to feel his best all the time.
Yep.
If we were to take a look occasionally, we'll go, we have this problem that we need to deal with, and I want to deal with it in a timely fashion. Take a look at the bigger picture and look back a little bit. Was there a similar, the same, different big issue that needed to be dealt with in a timely fashion just a little while ago that you just like, do you say to yourself, oh my gosh, I have another one? Maybe you're having these repetitive issues because you're doing that quick fix process. And maybe if you look at the big picture, you go, wow, look at that. I had 4 shows last spring, and the second, third, and fourth shows, I had to do these million things and have these big bills to fix this. And then over the winter, things slows down and things were pretty good. And then come springtime, these things start to happen again. Maybe you're pushing too hard, too fast, and you need to back off a little bit to give the fixes time to stick for real. Like if you twist an ankle, you give it a week off, and then you go right back to running 3 miles a day. Yeah. Well, your probably ankle's going to start to bother you again because you did a really quick fix. I'm going to give it a rest for a short period of time. Take a look at that long game and do it that way. Maybe that would help us, because we're looking, again, we care for our creatures, whether they're our dogs or cats, chickens, guinea pigs. By doing it this way, yes, it's going to get me to this next horse show. But is that where it ends? Are you going to do it this way, get to that next horse show, and then are you going to take a fresh look at that problem and give it the time it needs? Or are you going to get to that next horse show and wait for the problem to come back?
Right.
There you go.
Well, it goes back to the patience thing.
I want to mention supplements, because I run into this not a lot, but enough times that it needs to be mentioned. Feed changes sometimes can change a horse almost overnight, depending on how seriously a challenge the horse was, that you can make a diet change and the horse really responds quickly, or you give him Gastrogard and, a day later his eye is brighter and you go, yeah, definitely he has ulcers.
Yeah, there you go.
So some things can work really fast. Sometimes antibiotics will work fast. Supplements can sometimes work fast, but most of the time they are the long road. They are, 30 days, 60 days. They're not instant. And, I wish that they were, so that they could, heal every horse overnight, and every owner and rider would just be over the moon happy and unstressed. But that's not the reality. So if you get into a program with a nutritionist or a supplement company or whomever, and they give you a program and you decide to follow it. But don't follow it for a week or a day. You know, you have to really decide that you're all in. And then after 30 or 45 or 60 days, you go, okay, this definitely isn't working.
It's the same thing with training, though. I mean, it's, you can't, people do their research about what they're going to do, and, you have a discussion with the trainer and you do whatever. I mean, I always have a general idea, and I always try to overshoot the time frame, because if it happens earlier, that's great. But if it doesn't, then no one's expecting anything different. And I think that's very hard, especially when you have, people that are so desperate for a change. I mean, I have a lot of horses, like when I say problem horses, that have little training issues that need, just redirection. And then you get the horse understanding something different, like, how to ride a half halt a little bit clearer, or keeping them straight or whatever. I've got a cute little PRE gelding right now that just needed a little bit of direction. And now he's like, oh, wait, I understand that. Geez, that exhausts me. So it's like, I can do it, but now I've got to go back to the whole patience thing, because it happened quickly. But now I've got to go back and be patient and say, well, now you got to be strong. So now we're going to, you know what I mean? It's like, you see all these great things happen, but, sometimes you'll see the progress, just like you're saying, but then you still have to be patient within it. Because you may see more. I do see a lot of people, and I have been very guilty of that myself, where I like, okay, I feel like something worked, but gee, I thought it would continue to work or be even better. Like, you don't always know what the full hit of like a supplement is or whatever, because you just got to give it time.
And you have to, and I think there's a degree of flexibility too, that what worked today in your feed plan, in the grooming products you use, in your training, may not work tomorrow. Right.
You got to get some tools in your toolbox.
Yeah, tools, and take a deep breath. And I think Jennifer put it well. It's the long game. It's the long, healthy life of the animals that we share our lives with.
Yeah, agreed.
So, on that note, if there's some tips out there that our listeners have for, staying calm in the midst of a storm, or, if you have some tips for other listeners on, how to not fall into the quick fix trap, let us know on healthycrittersradio.com.
Hello.
Hetty.
Hi, Hetty.
Jennifer.
We're all here.
All of you are there. Well, that's excellent. That's a nice start. I think you're looking up.
How's the weather?
Well, I think, as you know, it's really bloody hot, isn't it, Tiggle?
What do you do to keep cool, Hetty? Because I'm certain that your servant brings you to the barn.
Well, it's true. I was brought to the barn, and so I displayed my displeasure by first entering the wash stall and making myself very, very wet. And then I plopped my wet pelican down on the cement floor and did not move for several hours. Yes, that was my approach. Several hours of non-movement.
Well, what does your brother and your sister do while you're just sitting there?
My sister was right near me, no problem. My brother, well, he's not real, so it doesn't really matter what he did, does it?
I thought you'd have some real, angry response to the incredible heat which a furry-coated dog like yourself has to put up with.
Well,
he's obviously melting.
Obviously.
If I may say, I am not the one who caused global climate change. So, as long as the servant is suffering way more then I feel she is getting her punishment for insisting on fossil fuel consumption.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, boy.
So what do you do now that you're not at the barn? It's the end of the day. How do you stay cool?
Well, at the moment, I'm sitting on the couch in front of a fan. Later, I will go upstairs where my servant will, one hope, have remembered to turn on the air conditioner at least 1 hour before my entry into that room, and it would be nice and pleasant. The other night she did not remember, and she was heartily scolded, if I may say.
She was what?
Heartily scolded.
Oh, I bet she was.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of asking your servant for your own little kiddie pool?
Oh, we had one. It didn't go well. I didn't like it. The cat went in it, but I did not.
the cat went in it?
Yes, the cat. The one that is a demon in a cat suit. That one, the furry one with the frondy ears. It went in the pool. I was put in the pool. Don't you remember the video, Tigger? It was a horrible video. Horrible about palm abuse. We called it Gitmo.
But you went into the wash stall.
That's very different. So different. Why would you even point those two things out of the same sentence?
Well,
Tigger, don't make her mad. She's hot.
I don't see the difference. It's wet and it's wet.
Yes, well, you are a bit simple. So let me review for you. Fun is a place where horses are bathed and cookies are given, and there's a lot of dirt around, and the floor is gross and disgusting. And one is a pool, but specifically for my amusement. It's pink and completely undesirable.
Gotcha. Because it's clean and fresh water, and that's just not for palms.
Also, there was human intent, so I had to foil it.
Oh, of course.
You know, when someone buys you a present, they put a lot of thought into it. You just feel you need to ruin their day by hating it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Hetty. I hope it's cool enough you can still get some cheese.
It's too hot for dairy.
Oh. Not even ice cream?
No.
Oh.
Okay, wait. What is today? Because we need to write that. We need to write this
Yeah,
down.
it's too hot for cheese.
Hot for dairy. Yeah. Okay. It's
Dairy is a
hot.
cooling food, by the way.
Yes, well, perhaps for you. For me, it's just cheese. I didn't want it.
Oh.
Watermelon.
Wow.
I'm not a horse, Tigger. Ketchup? The horse eats the melon. The horse eats the oranges and the kiwi and the bananas like some sort of gorilla. I am a small dog. I do not eat these things. I eat gummy bears. I love gummy bears.
Oh my God.
I do like a good gummy bear. I can't argue with that.
The human servant bought the grandmother nice gummy bear as a treat, and the grandmother was easily convinced to share the bears. And I ate one of every color. Yes, I did.
Because gummy bears are one of the dog's major food groups. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ketchup.
Well, thanks, Hetty. Stay cool.
Yes, you too.
Bye,
I'll
Hetty.
give my best respects to my night Sabi.
I will pass on your respects to Sabi.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, Hetty.
And now it's time for the breed of the show.
And we are now at the breed of the show part of our program, and kind of excited because we are expanding outside of our normal chickens and dogs and rabbits, and we are going into monkeys. And I thought we would do the spider monkey for Hedwig so she can learn all there is to know about these great little creatures. It's so much amazing information, so I'm going to try to get to. I've highlighted all these wonderful points, but everything about them, they seem wonderful. But they're a member of the primitive monkeys of the New World. There are seven different species that live in Central and South America and northern parts of Mexico. The size of a spider monkey depends on the species, but on average, they're anywhere from 13 pounds and 2 feet in height. And they
perfect travel size.
I know, it's like a pocket monkey. But the most prominent thing that everybody thinks about spider monkeys is their long prehensile tail, and it's used as kind of as a fifth limb that facilitates movement around dense vegetation where they live. They're named spider monkeys because the way they hang from trees, holding the branches with their limbs and their long shaped tail that looks like a spider. Interesting, spider monkeys do not have thumbs. They have 4 fingers that are curved and look like a hook.
Huh.
Yeah, kind of cool. Did not know that. Also sort of interesting. I mean, this makes sense, but I'd never really thought about it. But spider monkeys are basically spend most of their life in treetops, so they're very rarely seen on the ground. Interesting, right? So can you imagine taking something like that and honestly making it a pet? I mean, that probably is not the... Yeah, no. Right? They're mainly plant-based. 90% of their diet consists of like fruit, some seeds, flowers. Other than that, some monkeys eat birds, eggs, and insects, but I think for the most part, it's more of vegetation. This is where it gets, I think, so interesting. So they're very social animals, and they live in little groups called troops. And since they're active during the day, which I guess is you pronounce it diurnal, spider monkeys will split into smaller groups that separately search for food. But when different troops of spider monkeys meet, they hug each other to express greetings and avoid confrontation and potential aggression. Right?
Wow.
Isn't that adorable? Yeah. During the night, they gather together in large groups. In large groups to sleep in the trees to stay, away from predators. And the main predators of the monkeys are jaguars, pumas, ocelot, and large snakes. They, again, this is another adorable fact. They use different sounds for communication, and they can produce screams and sobbing sounds, and even bark when they are threatened.
Yeah, danger.
Kind of cool. Yeah. Oh, let's see what else. They're when they're pregnant, they generally they're pregnant for up to 7 months. The mother takes care of the baby on her own, and the baby will spend the first 4 to 5 months of her life attached to the mother's belly. After that, the youngster will move to the mother's back for the next 6 months. And a young spider monkey will drink the mother's milk for up to 2 years. They can survive 22 to 25 years in the wild and up to 35 in captivity.
Wow.
Cool. I know. So
I wouldn't mind having a couple of spider monkeys in my walnut trees.
There you go. And you could have little troops. But I mean, this is really interesting. I love learning about different types of stuff. But this really was kind of cool. They unfortunately, there's a bunch of different types of species that are listed critically endangered because of indigenous people eat them, the meat, and some are sold on pet trade, and
let's keep them in the forest where they belong.
Yep,
and let's not put them in zoos, and let's not capture them and make them pets.
Exactly. We can certainly go online and look up videos of them being adorable in the trees, and you can actually like Google the different noises that they make. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to get Hetty a stuffed animal and a DVD player. One in the woods.
And here we are at Critter Nutrition, and I'm going to talk about Manuka honey, the sweet treatment for wounds. I was introduced to Manuka honey over 20 years ago by my brother who lives in New Zealand. He sent me a tiny jar for Christmas with a note saying that it was the most powerful honey in the world. That definitely got my attention. Historically, honey as a remedy fell out of favor with the advent of antibiotics, but it has been used as a topical to treat wounds for thousands of years. It was several months before I actually tried the Manuka my brother sent me. A friend was visiting and cut his hand working on my lawnmower. I thought it needed stitches, but he didn't want to go to the hospital. So I cleaned the wound, put a little colloidal silver on it, then the Manuka, threw on a nonstick pad, and covered it in vet wrap. Each day I added more honey and was amazed to see the healthy tissues. The wound was healing from the inside out with no sign of infection. To this day, there isn't even a scar on his hand from that deep cut. Manuka honey is made by bees that collect nectar from the Manuka tree in New Zealand. This honey is unique in that it contains non-hydrogen peroxide, which gives it great antibacterial power. Research conducted 20 years ago showed that Manuka was able to inhibit around 60 species of bacteria, including E. coli and Salmonella strains. In 2008, a key active component in Manuka honey was identified as methylglyoxal, MgO, a compound with antimicrobial activity. Studies have shown that Manuka honey can disperse and kill bacteria living in biofilms, that is, communities of microbes notoriously resistant to antibiotics, including Streptococcus and Staphylococcus. There are no reported cases of bacteria developing resistance to Manuka, and resistance to this honey cannot be generated in the laboratory. In 2017, at the American Association of Equine Practitioners Conventions in San Antonio, Texas, a presentation was made by Albert Zhang, a research student at the University of Sydney School of Veterinary Science in New South Wales, Australia. Zhang reported on a study he and his colleagues conducted on the efficacy of Manuka honey on wound healing in the equine distal limb. In the study, they created full-thickness skin wounds, 2.5 centimeters, on 8 horses' cannon bones. Horses were treated with Manuka honey, multifloral honey, or a saline control. The team found that wounds treated with Manuka honey healed faster than those treated with either generic honey or saline. Specifically, healing times were 90.78, 100.3, and 101.35 days, respectively. A grading system has been developed in New Zealand, and it's called the UMF system. It's specific for Manuka honey. It measures the specific markers such as methylglyoxal, MgO, which is the compound with antibacterial properties. The UMF grading system also measures NPA, the non-peroxide activity, compared with the industry standard phenol disinfectant. This particular marker is directly related to the overall UMF rating. For example, if a batch of Manuka honey has an NPA, that's the non-peroxide activity, of 18, then it will be labeled as UMF 18+. There are other grading systems used by other companies, but not all of them measure NPA. There is a specific MgO grading system which does measure NPA. When you want to treat wounds, the NPA content of the honey is critical. I purchase Manuka from companies using the UMF system. The highest UMF grades, meaning NPA, under this system are 18+ and 20+. I keep 20+ on hand always. This is what I use to treat wounds and scrapes on dogs, horses, and humans. 2 weeks ago, my Aussie Thunder Bear cut his paw just below the ankle while swimming in the pond. I suspect he cut it on a rock. It was deep enough for stitches, but I elected to treat it at home. After a betadine wash, I put some colloidal silver in the wound, packed it with Manuka honey, added a nonstick pad, and then vet wrap. I changed the bandages twice a day for 5 days so that I could stay on top of any possible infection. There was none. As the deep part of the wound healed, I began treating just once a day and added Biostar's Tremera Artisan Poultice on top of the honey and around the ankle. The poultice helped reduce the soreness around the outside of the wound. In 10 days, the wound had healed from the inside out and no scar. A few days ago, Thunder Bear went to the vet for his yearly checkup, and I told the vet about the wound. He lifted Thunder Bear's paw and examined it. "What antibiotic did you use?" he asked me. "It's healed beautifully." "Manuka honey," I replied. The look on his face was a mixture of horror and a kind of wonder. I was all set to give him a rousing explanation of the great wound healing benefits of Manuka honey, but he just set Thunderbear's paw down and took out his stethoscope to listen to the dog's heart. Some people aren't ready to hear about alternatives. In my medicine cabinet essentials, these are my wound treating essentials that you will find in my medicine cabinet. Manuka honey, colloidal silver, betadine, Tramera poultice, bovine colostrum, calendula oil, homeopathic arnica 30C and hypericum 30C, and plenty of nonstick pads and rolls of vet wrap. Also included is a bottle of Bach flower rescue remedy to help with the animal or human stress. I do keep on hand the standard wound medicines, Furazone, triple antibiotic, Vetricin, but honestly, I don't use them very often. Wounds can be more challenging to treat in the summer, as the moist, hot conditions are especially favorable for bacteria. That's why Manuka honey, effective against so many different bacteria, is an important medicine to have on hand and to use whenever needed.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why Biostar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. Biostar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real food ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The Biostar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
And now we're at Coffee Clatch, and I thought it would be fun to share our favorite animal nursery rhymes, poems, songs, and how they affected us. And I was thinking about this a few days ago because there were certain nursery rhymes poems that I think really shaped my attitude and my connection to animals. And the first one was Hey Diddle Diddle, with the cow jumped over the moon. And according to my mother, because I don't remember this, but according to my mother, I would wander outside at night and look at the moon, waiting for the cow to jump over it.
Oh, were you disappointed when it didn't?
Uh-huh. Maybe I've spent 65 years waiting for that cow to jump over the moon.
Yep.
Oh, how about so you, funny. Patty?
Well, of course, Old MacDonald. I love that one, and I think that.
Why?
Well, because there were so many different animals, and there were so many. And I liked all the different types, and I think that and I love that. I love that one, but just different types of animals, and I used to always do that one for the kids when they were younger too. There's also another one that I just can't remember. What was? Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Oh, I'm maybe Jennifer. You always have the same ones that I want to. What are yours? Maybe it's what are yours?
Actually, the Old MacDonald's was one of mine.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I liked Mary Had a Little Lamb as a kid because I could play it on the piano.
Oh, that's good.
So that made it a favorite for me. Because there were, I think, 3 songs that I could play on a piano, and one of them was not Chopsticks. But one of the more recent ones, and it's just a little bit of a cheat because technically it's not a poem, it's a story, but it's written. What do you call it when you write something that has rhythm and like a poem does? But there's an official name. There's a name for that. Not what
iambic pentameter,
something like that. It's some English major that's listening to this show. Write me complaints@horseradionetwork.com and let me know what the word is that I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're rolling their eyes.
Yes, they are. Absolutely.
They couldn't get it. Yeah. Sorry.
It's a very recent publication from Gene Abernathy, who is the author and inventor and the brilliant mind behind Fergus the Horse. And the story is called Fergus and the Greener Grass. And it's a story that is written similarly to the way Dr. Seuss wrote his stories, in that they rhyme. They rhyme throughout, but it's just the story. And it's all about how Fergus discovers the trap of the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence.
Oh.
And it's just super adorable. And of course, it's super adorably illustrated because it's by Gene. But like nursery rhymes, without the wolf eating anything, it has a great message that doesn't hit you in the face. It's just right for young minds. So that's one of my current favorites. Yeah.
Okay.
One of my other favorites as a kid was The Owl and the Pussycat.
I don't think I know
Which
that
one?
one.
Oh, come on.
No, I don't either.
The Owl and the Pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money, wrapped up in a 5-pound note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love. What a beautiful pussy you are, you are. What a beautiful pussy you are. Pussy said to the owl, you elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married. Too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring? They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows, and there in a wood a piggywig stood with a ring at the end of his nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. And it goes on, of course, from there. But I love all the
I never heard that.
oh, come on.
I don't think I have either.
Wow. And
Never,
illustrations are the owl is there with his guitar on one, in the stern, and the pussycat is in the bow looking up at the moon, and he's singing to her. I thought it was so wonderful that two totally different species could be getting along so well. And it really, I mean, that affected me as a child in a good way. I mean, not in a negative way, in a everybody should get along kind of way.
Yep. You even knew then.
And the other one was the Itsy Bitsy Spider.
See, I knew that one really well, but frankly, it wasn't a favorite. Yeah.
Ah.
I did it with my kids. You would go through the hand motions and stuff, and it would make them laugh and laugh and laugh. So of course, that was a good one.
Well, I liked it because it gave me a real appreciation instead of fear for a spider. It made me more fascinated with them. And then, of course, Charlotte Webb came along, and then I was totally enthralled. And even to this day, I don't kill spiders. I trap them and take them outside, but I don't step on them. And I think it all came from Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Yeah, I don't like spiders. I don't like them. Nope, don't like them. I don't mind like looking at them when they're far away and they don't surprise me, but when they like kind of surprise me, I'm not real happy about that. I don't like to be surprised.
Well,
like
in American Indian folklore and myth, the spider is the weaver. So I think of the spider from a very creative point of view. That's why I don't kill them, because they weave, they make things, they're artistic.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I'm still not going to be happy. I appreciate it. It's not going to change anything then. I've been pretty committed to this healing for at least 50 years.
Understand. Any other nursery rhymes or poems or songs that Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star?
Yeah.
When you wish upon a star, all your dreams come true.
Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, fur.
Yeah, I definitely didn't get that. I didn't get the kitty song when I was a kid.
I never heard it until I heard it on The Big Bang Theory. Apparently, it's been around a while, but
Oh, it has? They didn't make it up for that show?
No, they got into a little mischief, actually, because the person, they didn't realize that somebody had written it, and There was some vague.
Oh, I did not know that.
There was some vague claim to copyright on that, but I don't remember how it ended up happening. But maybe think of it as somebody made a T-shirt and they changed the lyrics to be horsey instead of kitty, and it was about a witchy mare, and I don't remember the exact lyrics, and I'm like, I need that T-shirt. I really need that T-shirt.
Well, if you have a beloved poem or childhood nursery rhyme that
spoke
you
to
love,
you, yeah,
yep, that spoke to you, let us know on healthycrittersradio.com.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Love your dog.
Hug your horse.
Feed your chickens.
Clean your litter box.
Dance with your goat.
Slither with your snakes.
Howl at the moon.
Hang with your hamster.
Party with your parrot.
Waddle with your walrus.
Outwit your otter.
Cuddle your cows.
Rap with your raptor.
Go chipping with your chipmunks.
Forgive your fox.
While hedging your hog.
We also recommend that you rack with your raccoon.
Gyrate with your giraffe.
Meditate with a meerkat.
Uber with your orangutan.
Facebook with your flamingo.
Ponder with your panda.
Walk with your Wookie.
Yawn with your yak.
Twitter with your toucan.
Go raining with your reindeer.
Dropbox your dragon.